Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's another night. It's another four words in, and I'm already bubbling. It's a Thursday evening. It's 7:30, and once again, here we are, and we are ready to rock and roll. Back to the normal format this week. We're going to have the beginning at the beginning, and the end will be at the end, and the bit in the middle will be the bit in the middle. We're a couple of numbers down this week. We've had some apologies, and well, there you go. That's is as is. So if you'd like to get involved in the chat box, that would be amazing, because that will help keep things flowing a little better. I've got it on and I can see it. So where should we start other than at the beginning? So Tuesday, being 2 days ago, was the 2nd of February. And that's kind of a date that we've created on the calendar. We've talked about this before on our bizarre monthly schedule, but it's actually a bit more than that. It's Imbalc, or it was Imbalc, and it was Candlemas. Now, I'm not going to say too much about this at the minute, because otherwise I'll just tell you what's in the video, because that's what's in the video. But that is kind of really, really important. But it's just kind of also important just to take a little moment to think about how it fits in. Because you may remember, talked about the fact in the Celtic Wheel of the Year, we kind of start at Samhain, or Halloween as it's now become. The beginning of the year, we go into darkness, we go into the times when we hunker down and we live and survive on all of our productivity throughout the year. And obviously we then go to Yule, which is winter solstice, the longest night and the shortest day. Well, Imbalc, as we say, is that midway point between the solstice and the equinox, as we kind of pick up into life. Anyway, we're going to move swiftly onwards, and we're going to have a look at video number 1. So here we go. This is all about Imbalc.
Never let you go.
Good morning. Today is February the 2nd, making it Imbalc or Candlemas, depending on the name or the version you want to choose to use. It's the midpoint between the solstice and the equinox. It's the time when the world starts showing you it's coming back to life. Robins have been singing the entire time, but great woodpeckers are starting to tap, and great tits are starting to go teacher teacher. Song thrushes are starting to sing. There are snowdrops in our woods. They're beautiful. There are buds on our trees. And traditionally it was when sheep would first start lactating, ready for the birth of the lambs. It's another opportunity with those natural cycles to just celebrate our lives and how wonderful they are, and that everything is coming around again and new, and to celebrate that too. Now, I don't know what it means, but as I've walked along this morning, there was a buzzard in the south, and it landed. There was a buzzard in the west, and it landed. There was a buzzard in the north, and it landed. There's one in the east. But those three together is unusual. I'm going to have to think on that one a while to work out what it means. But I'm going to enjoy that, same as I've enjoyed this walk today. So, happy Candlemas, happy Imbalc. And for other gems, shameless plug, simonpollard.uk. Come and join us. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Never let you go.
That was really cool, because I'd been at work overnight, and that meant I didn't get home till about 10:30, and that meant I could go out and walk the dogs in daylight. And it really was a truly breathtaking morning. I mean, those 3 buzzards were unexpected and unusual. Not quite worked out yet what they might mean, whether there's a direction thing going on, whether there's a kind of, kind of cushioning in towards I don't know. I've had a little bit of a think about it, but I have to admit I've been rather busy and I'm quite easily distracted, even though I'm focused. So I haven't really got my head around that one yet, but I'm still having a think about it. But I have to admit the discipline that was needed to actually make myself come back and come into the office and do some work was quite intense, because I was so tempted to come back, climb into the kit, get on the bike and just go for it. That would have been cool. I mean, I did get out on the bike last week and that was pretty amazing, but it was one of those, just so much to do at the moment, which is really cool. It's the way it should be, it's when we kind of like changed direction and started saying, okay, we need to be focusing on these walks. They're what I wanted to do. They're what I've always wanted to do. That's where my heart is. That's where my passion is. And we know we have a quality product. As a gentleman said the other day, you have the solution. You just got to work out which problems you can put it in front of, which was cool. And we've got 1 or 2 more changes of directions and things are coming. But it's getting to the point now, because on the philosophy of chipping away, that things are just gently starting to happen. I mean, almost to the point now when I wake up in the morning and I just think to myself, what's the exciting thing that's going to happen today? And having just come to the end of January, and it's been possibly the most exciting January I can remember in ages. There's so many things happening, so much dropping in. It's just been unreal. But we've had a caller game this week from Lisa Fraser, and we've now got a series of events lined up over at Fraser's Edgerton, and that's really, really awesome. Actually off there in the morning, not quite sure what for, but I know it'll be entertaining. So that's really cool. We've had a chat with the press agent of Julia Bradbury. That's really cool. We had contact through today with the people at the Kent area of Outstanding Natural Beauty, and we're looking to be working with them. That's really exciting. It's just putting things together and focusing and pushing and focusing and pushing, and just life. It's amazing how much better it is to wake up thinking, what exciting is going to happen today? And just doing your level best to make that kind of stuff happen. It is hard work. I seem to be working some silly bonkers hours at the minute, but I'm grabbing every minute I can with my goody lady wife, because that's why she's my goody lady wife. So anyway, that's onwards. So anyway, that was Imbalc. Filmed that on Tuesday, and next, in 6-7 weeks, we get to Ostara, the equinox, and that's when the new year really starts to pick up and things really start to go at pace. So we'll have that one in the diary, and we'll be talking about that one in a little while. So that's dead cool. So amazing books. I've actually really enjoyed bringing the book aspect into the show. I think it's important. I mean, it's funny, I've always got a book in my hand, and at this moment in time I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 5 books on the go. I am not a bookworm. I'm not. But what it is, I do have a real thirst for knowledge and betterment and improvement. In fact, one of the books I've just picked up it's called The Midnight Library, and Gillian, my wife, gave it to me at Christmas. I want you to read a novel, because I don't read novels. I haven't got time for novels. I'm too busy improving myself and learning stuff and all the rest of that, and growing. So she gets me a book about the rights and wrongs of the choices you make, the life you could have lived, the life you do live. We've got that one, and then I've got the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is an amazing book, and I'm going that will be featuring in here, because it is one of those that I get in trouble for using the word, but it's a bit of a game changer. It really is. It's the one that's actually got the science in it that proves the law of attraction exists. And it's fact and it's genuine and science backs it up. And that means all of us who've been operating on blind faith for ages, it ain't just blind faith. There's some science proof to back it up. That's really, really cool. So we're going to be talking about that in a future time when I've actually finished it. And it's going to be a few weeks away yet because I'm now onto the kind of meditation-y sections and I want to get through those before we talk about that. So I've got that one on the go. So there's 2 of them. And then I've got the 3 that I read kind of most mornings. I think I've talked about some of those already, but they'll feature at a later date. But today I wanted to talk about a book called The Awen Alone. Okay, The Awen Alone by a lady called Joanna van der Hoven. Hoven, because it was one of the first books that I read when I really started kind of getting hold of this countryside spiritual connection thing. And I'm starting to talk about it and starting to kind of get into the flavor of it and I picked this book up. You know, I mean, obviously that was the moment where this book was meant to be put in front of me. I mean, like most books, I think that's an amazing book and I buy it and it sits on the shelf. In fact, that one there, yeah, that's all the books I've bought and I haven't read yet. So I'm desperately trying really hard at the moment not to buy any books, to try and kind of like get through a little bit of that before I buy some more. It's working at the moment. I don't know how long it's going to last, but that's the plan. But anyway, The Awen Alone was the first time I picked up a book and I started reading it, and it was talking about exactly the same thing that I've been talking about over and over. And it kind of just validated to me that I wasn't the only person who was thinking this. Because, you know, it was just, I don't know, I believed it, but I wasn't quite sure whether I was a bit cuckoo or whether it was a good idea or whether I had it right or not. So it's one of those, it's not a very big book. It's kind of quite thin. One of those you can kind of whistle through. It's only 100 pages, which is pretty cool. But I had a quick look at it earlier and I thought, I'm just going to read a section of it to you because it kind of sums it up, really. So here we go. If you're sitting comfortably, then I will begin. So, this worldview brings with it a responsibility. No longer are we allowed to remain ignorant of the ways of our own environment. If we are to view it as a whole, then we must truly see every part that we play within it. If the whole of nature has a spirit, then issues arise, such as the taking of a life for food. Many within Druidry are vegetarian, if not vegan, and yet there are still others who eat the flesh of animals. Some do so, claiming that I can't even read, let alone speak. Ethically raised and slaughtered animals for food are perfectly acceptable to put on our plates. It is entirely your choice. We must accept responsibility for whatever part we choose to play. We must research and sacrifice our ignorance of a subject before coming to a conclusion while living in service to the land. It's that word responsibility that just keeps coming up, keeps popping up and keeps popping up. And for me, the first time that really stood up was when I finished writing The 3-Year Pond. Because at the end of it, I suddenly realized that's what I've written a book about. And I try to follow that and try and have done ever since. And that responsibility thing has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger for me the entire time, because I think it's really important. Anyway, another paragraph. The word environment, however, has many meanings. Our immediate response to the word is the natural environment, nature. Yet there are many other environments, little worlds created by human consciousness. We have our work environment, our home environment, our communities, villages, towns, and cities. There is the issue of human-to-human interaction as well as interaction with nature. Though as humans, we are a part of nature. I realise that I'm contradicting myself in some ways, but please bear with me. Our own sense of self or self-awareness creates a thorny path down which we must navigate carefully in order not to injure ourselves or others. Unless one lives as a hermit, the druid will have interaction with other human beings. Some druids, some not. Taking, for example, the druid relationship with nature, sensing the inherent consciousness within it. Druidry teaches us that some sense of consciousness exists in human-to-human interactions. Now, we just take all that. I mean, we've talked about that many, many times in here. One of the things that I keep coming back to is the book. Brain's gone dead again. It's right in front of me, and I can't see. There it is. Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, which I talked about a month or two ago. And that is, when you walk into a room to give a presentation or whatever, and if you say to people, who loves nature? Most people will go, I love nature. And then you say to them, how many people here believe that nature loves you? And you go, you are, right. But if you think about it, that has to be a two-way relationship, because where do we get the air to breathe? Where do we get our food to eat? Where do we get fluids to drink? Where do we put the stuff that we've used? We've eaten it or drunk it or cut it and boiled it up and dropped it down. Where do we put it afterwards? It all goes back into nature one way or the other. Hopefully we've treated it and it goes back so it can be recycled fairly quickly back into the system. But there's that big give and take relationship. And that means we really, really should be taking responsibility. Now, if there is some kind of consciousness there, it kind of follows that surely it's in the whole cycle, not just in one little bit of it. And surely we should take on board the fact that there's more to this world than just us. You know, it's not completely an ego-based thing. Surely. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But I just love that Druid, that Celtic philosophy, which I think we need. I think we should still have with us right the way through from now to forever. Because after all, just because we don't buy our world, we don't buy it with money like we buy a car or a house or anything else. It looks after us, it nurtures us, it feeds us. And without it, we'd have nothing. All them green pieces of paper would mean nothing. So I love that consciousness, the idea that the world has a consciousness, there is a spirituality out there, and it is a two-way relationship. And like I was saying earlier, with those three buzzards, and there is that long chapter in The View Over the Wall, where I talk about that week of coincidences, or that week of happenings. And we actually looked at what that might mean and the message that might have come across from the buzzards and the bells and everything else. And I'm sure I will work out what those three buzzards meant on Tuesday. And I firmly believe that there are messages there for us to see. It's how we look at them and it's how we interpret them. Because ultimately, we need to be living as happy a life as we can create. And we should be doing what we want as long as we're coming from a good place and we're not causing anyone else any harm, I think. Right, there's got to be a moment to say, shut up, Simon, and crack on with the show. Because this is where we're going to have a look at the third of the Ashdale Falls videos, which is, I have to admit, I was looking forward to putting this one together. You'll be pleased to know that for the most part, there is no voice from me. It's all about the falls, and it's all about the scenery, and it's all about Isle of Arran, and it's wonderful. So enjoy the fact that until you hear me speaking, and that's the end. So and this is one that's actually got the falls in it. Now, just bear in mind as well, I did say at the end, but there's been no rain on Arran for a couple of months. So however spectacular you think the falls look, and they do, Just imagine what it looks like after the rains have come. Yeah, just take on board that phenomena, because it is pretty spectacular. And it won't be that long before I get all three sections edited together and out on YouTube, so you can actually have a look at the whole lot in one go. So there you go. Let me get this one set up, ready to rock and roll. Go, let's press that button. Ashdale Falls Part 3. Here we go.
Never let you go.
So, come full circle. We're back on the road in a minute. Giant's graves were pretty cool. Neolithic long barrows. Didn't get up to the Iron Age hill fort. The sky behind me got really black and I can feel spots on my head now, so I decided that I'd rather not make the hill fort and get back dry. The waterfalls are pretty spectacular, but it hasn't rained for nearly 2 months. So I'd imagine that they're way more amazing when weather's been rather more typically Scottish. Haven't seen a red squirrel. Probably heard me coming, but I have seen a buzzard and it called all the way down. Probably telling me to get out of the way so that I don't get rained on. Has it been amazing? Yes, it has. I've loved every minute of it. See you soon.
Never let you go.
That was pretty amazing. That was, I tell you, we spent all day driving around in a car. And me, probably more than most, by the end of it, was chomping at the bit to get out, get some space and get some air and just kind of get that boxed in feel out of my head. The temptation to go up the Iron Age hill fort and say, if it gets wet, I'll get wet. It was kind of quite big, but I've done that cold and wet thing before. It's not the most amazing fun, but by golly, that was the most amazing falls. And I'm sure we'll end up back in Awen at some point, and hopefully it will have rained and I'll shoot another video and maybe we'll do the two back to back. Now, how cool would that be? How cool would that be? So there we go. Anyway, so one of the things that had meant to happen tonight was that I was meant to have a co-host, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. And I was hoping that he would actually run the show next week, because I'm not going to be able to do the show next Thursday because I will be helping the kids out at the local home. So I think what we're going to have to do is say, I'm really sorry, folks, but it's going to have to be a fortnight. And I shall come back and we'll carry on and we'll have another go. But once again, I have to say, it's been lovely to spend the evening with you. Be good, look after yourselves, get out in the countryside, have a walk if you can. If not, sit in the garden. But other than that, I will see you all in a fortnight if I don't see you before. So enjoy and see you then. Bye.
Thank you.